Hello, welcome to Meet the Leaders at SAP. I'm Shailendra and you're watching this simulcast live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. Hope you're safe and maintaining social distancing. It's very important. Okay, so in today's day and age, digital transformation has become very important. In fact, we saw a poll going around on social media saying, who's driving digital transformation in your organization? Is that the CEO, CIO, or COVID-19? I think COVID-19 has been a game changer in the digital transformation space. So let's talk about that. Now, today's guest is a very good friend of mine. He was the first leader I met when I started at SAP, and we spent a lot of time together talking to customers. We had some great conversations in Asia. Jeff Harvey is the Chief Customer Officer at the Industries and Customer Advisory line of business in SAP. He's not only a great leader, but a great human being. And I really, really respect him a lot. So let's not waste our time anymore and bring him on the show. Hi, Jeff. Welcome to Meet the People, Meet the Leaders at SAP.
Hey, Shailendra, how are you? It's great to be on with you tonight, or your morning. What time is it in Sydney right now?
Well, it is 2 p.m. in Sydney, but I know that it is midnight for you. So thank you for taking time at this hour and for the audience here in Asia.
Absolutely. It's great to be with you. You know, we work in a global economy and environment, and certainly company at SAP. And so 24/7, we're always on. So great to be with you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, Jeff, very, very quickly, let's start about yourself. So tell me about yourself, your career journey, and one interesting fact about you that your colleagues even don't know. Well, I don't know either.
That's good. That's a challenge. And I think you shared one of them earlier, that just us starting our work together in China. I think that's where we first met and did a bunch of customer work there recently, but a couple of years ago when we met. I started my career in consulting right out of school at one of the big eight firms at that time. It was Arthur Andersen in Chicago. And I was in the consulting division that ultimately evolved to become Accenture or Andersen Consulting, and then Accenture. I spent about 6 years there, having a great opportunity to work on a number of different ERP and MRP implementations with customers, kind of in the line of business that I'm in currently today. But it was a great learning experience from the beginning. I moved from there to go to work for a client I had as their CIO. We relocated from Chicago to New York. It was an awesome experience. I spent 3 years doing that. I have a heightened appreciation for what CIOs have to do every day to deliver the promise and support the company to make it all work and bring it all together. And following that, I then got back into application software, and I spent a couple of stints at a startup ERP player for the process industry, which has since been acquired, and then a .com that was also acquired, a .com that was focused on really back when people were talking about public exchanges, the public marketplaces. We were more on private marketplaces, and we created the whole category of strategic sourcing, and that was one of the first things that we did. So it was a great experience, very entrepreneurial journey, and I loved it. And it's actually what led me to SAP back in January of 2002.
Okay, so you and me both were at Accenture at different point in time. So that's what actually gives us a good connection as well. Yeah. I think. I didn't realize that. I think you told me that, but I forgot. Anyways, next question. So you said you joined SAP in 2002?
Yes, Jan 2002. And
so
I'm in my 19th year now.
18 plus years?
Yeah.
So what is the most exciting thing to work at SAP? What do you think? What excites you? What everyday morning you get up to work? What excites you to work at SAP?
I think it's the same thing that excited me about working at Arthur Andersen, AC, and then eventually what became Accenture, was it's working with customers every day on a different problem, right? Yep. And I love that challenge of solving a business problem and aligning technology to do that. And it's a constant learning environment for us as well, that we're looking at how do we take applications or experiences we had with other customers in similar industries and help other customers benefit from that. So I love helping customers solve problems. It's something that is intellectually challenging on a daily basis, and it's a fresh challenge every day. It's not going to the same job day over day. So that's what always keeps it fresh for me.
Okay, you didn't tell us one thing that is that your colleagues even don't know about you.
That's a good one. I got to think about that because I'm pretty open. There's a lot out that I share and socially, but I guess my personal time. I've got two kids, 24 and 22, and both out of college and empty nesters now, living in Atlanta, originally from Chicago. Like to spend time physically outdoors, exercise, play golf, walk, run, just do whatever I can to stay active. So probably things other people probably know about me as well. But I also spent a lot of time traveling the world with SAP and member of Delta's 360 Club, which is something that a lot of people don't know. You don't even know how you get into that club. It's by invitation only. So you fly a lot of miles and you get an invite, and I spent a lot of time up front with them in the cabin. So, but that's it, just a journeyman. I'm a roll up the sleeves, get it done, dig a ditch, let's make it happen, get your hands dirty. And that's what I love about the work that we do. It's not about being behind a desk. It's about getting in, rolling up, and figuring out what are we doing today? How do we solve this problem?
And I think we've seen that every time we've worked together. It is like that only. Just get up and go for it.
Let's go. That's it. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no manual, right? There's no instruction manual. It's what are we faced with? And I think COVID is it's that case in point, right? No one saw it coming, and certainly not to this scale. And it's had such a ripple effect, like you said earlier in your intro. Who's driving the digital strategy for your company or transformation? Is it the CEO, the CIO, or is it COVID? Right? Yeah. Because that has been a wild card for so many organizations that some will thrive coming out of it. Others will, fight to survive, quite honestly. Yep. And we're seeing that already.
Well, you said there is no manual. I think we are writing the manual, if there is one.
True.
So,
yeah.
And once we write that manual, people will take that and use that as a template going forward. So, yeah. Okay. At the moment, I've got more than 35 people watching us live. So, guys, if you've got any question for Jeff, please shoot that in the comment section, and I'll take them up for sure in the end. For you to watch, of course, this episode, if you're watching, and other sessions that I run on emerging technologies live, I would request you to follow me so that you can get alerted when a session is on. And so on LinkedIn, you need to follow me. On Twitter, you need to follow me. But on YouTube, you have to subscribe and press the bell icon so that you get an alert. So please get ready with your questions, and I will take them. Okay, let's talk about digital transformation. How are you seeing the market? Of course, COVID has changed a lot of things, but how are you seeing the market changing? Well, we can take it two ways. We can take it at the beginning of January 2020, and then let's look at 31st of May. I think there is a stark difference between January and May due to COVID. So how do you see the market changing or evolving during this time, and of course prior to that as well?
Yeah, I think that's a good comparison, right? If you were to look at this January of 2020, the scenario is completely different and not something that any customer or any company probably saw coming. Certainly not to the scale that it is. So, then it was business as usual, right? In January, it was, what are we doing this year? What's our strategic plan? What's our go-to-market plan? What's our organizational strategy? And companies were executing on that plan. And then 30, 60, 90 days later, as that wave started to travel the world, things changed dramatically. And now I think what we're seeing is, and this is reinforcing, is that the world is more connected than ever before. We've seen this in terms of how this pandemic has traveled and the impact that it's had on companies and on people, on lives around the globe. And so with that, it also, if you look at from a company perspective, and what we do at SAP and helping our customers run 24/7, 365, regardless of market condition, regardless of the economy, regardless of the weather, right? These are just things that customers have to deal with that are variables that they manage on a day-to-day basis. But it makes that connected tissue of an organization and of your infrastructure, your IT infrastructure and your systems that much more critical, so that you can truly run and you can respond in a real-time manner and fashion as these changes are coming at you on a daily basis. And I think that's what we're seeing mostly, is that companies that were in that position and had invested in that platform, they have the agility that they can respond to what's coming at them. That, okay, that manufacturer had to shut down because they're in an area that was affected. Well, good news, I've got another source of supply I can pivot over to, or I've got capacity in another plant I can run and make this product, and I can still support my customers' needs because I can get product to market, right? And those companies that don't have that ability to see their global value chain in that way and be able to just drag and drop pieces into a different kind of equation or configuration, they're hopefully still getting the job done, but it is much, much harder, and it takes a lot more time and effort to manage that than what could be possible. And we're seeing some of both of that on companies of all shapes and sizes, and it's not just the big ones. Some of the small ones are actually performing even better because of the agility that they have, just being a small organization, but they've got a digital platform in place that enables them to react to what's being thrown at them every day.
So you mentioned about the vision that, these organizations, the ones which had the vision and had invested in the digital platform, they're doing better than the others. So what's happening to the organizations who've not thought about this? And I remember there was an organization I used to work for, and they used to say, hey, digital is not going to happen. We believe in brick and mortar, and that's where we're going to be. How do they react? How are they responding to the situation?
Yeah, I mean, those that have already put it in, you see some companies in every industry that are able to capitalize on it. They're even retooling maybe manufacturing facilities to make different products that are in high demand right now. You see certainly here in the US, companies like Amazon and even Walmart are thriving because of their business model, right? Quick delivery, Prime is unbelievable, right? You don't have to leave your house. You ship it, click and ship the next day, right? It's so convenient. Those that aren't, or that hadn't put that in place, and I saw actually one retailer here in the US had just ironically made a decision that they were going to abandon their e-commerce strategy before this happened, because part of their experience is coming into the store, and it's that what they call a treasure hunt, that they're in kind of a fashion business and clothing and shoes and boots, and I mean, you can find, who knows what you're going to find in there that day, but they want you to come in to have that experience. Well, they abandoned the online experience, probably at the worst possible time for that to happen. I'll be curious to see what they do coming out. Many others are, like you said, hey, the company you used to work at, yeah, this is important, Shiley, we're going to get to it, but we've got so many other things that we need to do that it's on the list. It's just not at the top of the list. Well, now if CEOs are saying that to the market, they're saying, why not, right? Why did you miss? What happened to the numbers? Why couldn't you respond to demand? Why couldn't you respond to a change in your supply chain? Well, I didn't have the tools or the infrastructure. I couldn't manage the data. All of those are technology and platform problems that we see every day it's not rocket science to solve them, right? It's just a matter of putting some effort, some time, some focus, some vision around that of where you want to be and what you need to be coming out of this. So as we look at kind of the rebound, companies are in and fighting to get through this, to respond, and then really to rebound and ultimately reimagine what the future of their organization looks like, and set the new vision, recast it, so that when this happens again, in whatever form that might be, because there'll be some other surprise, that you're ready, right? And that we learn from it, and that we're that much more, that much stronger to respond to the next crisis that comes our way.
Okay, guys, let's have this conversation with the audience as well, Jeff. Let's ask them, what are they seeing in their area? The organizations they're dealing with, how are they reacting to digital transformation? Have they already been on that journey or not? So guys, if you've got that kind of a story, please put that in the comment section, and we will talk about that as we go. back to you, Jeff. You travel the world, and I've seen you here in Asia. We've seen you. We've met in China. We met in Singapore. So you travel the world. So how do you see the difference in region to region in terms of digital transformation? Do you think that different companies or different countries are different in taking or embracing digital transformation, or is it all the same? That you've got some biggies and you've some small ones, and what's your experience in there?
It's not so much the geography, I'd say, as it is maybe sometimes the industry, right? We go to market in 25 different industries that are unique, but there are also some obviously common elements like finance and HR and procurement. There's common business processes that whether you're in professional services or you're in public sector or you're in high-tech manufacturing or life sciences, right? There's certain things you have to do that are maybe a little unique in how you do them. But some of those industries have been more leaders in terms of getting after it. And sometimes just because the nature of the beast and the world that they work in, they're in technology already. So they're in high tech. This is part of their DNA. Others that maybe different organizations, different industries can run in different cycles. Public sector can run in different cycles based upon the elected official, right? They may or may not care about technology. The different countries, different regulations have different models. In Latin America, for example, many of the even banking entities are state-owned, right? So that's a different dynamic in terms of how they might implement, and versus a bank that's based in the U.S. or based in Germany or based in Switzerland, wherever they may be, or in Australia for that matter. So it varies by region, but more so probably by industry and by line of business. And it's all driven by value. Customers, SAP is a software company at the end of the day. We're an intellectual property company. We're a people company. But companies don't come to us for software. They come to us for business outcomes, right? Yep. That's what they're looking for. They've got a problem to solve. And the bigger the problem, the better, because big problems usually come with big returns and big value props. And if that's compelling, most CEOs want to talk about that. And they know it's a problem and it's got a big return. We're not talking millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of sustainable value creation for the organization. That's interesting, right? That drives shareholder value. And that's something you can't just create by selling more product or just squeezing the bottom line. That's not sustainable. You can get a one-time benefit out of it, but it's not sustainable on an ongoing basis. So those things I think really drive it, and you'll see more of that in a given industry, as cycles happen and as we see shifts. Like look at the electronic vehicle market, right? That's going to drive a lot of change in classic automotive industry, where they're all trying to figure out how do I be more, like Tesla and what they're doing to really capitalize and drive that market and drive innovation, which customers are getting more and more interested on. So it cycles in all the industries. And, then probably the business cycle that runs in those industries. Oil and gas right now, it's pretty tough, right? The price per barrel makes it hard to drive capital investment, let alone operating expense investment. So the CapEx, OpEx is a really difficult challenge in oil and gas, in refinery, in all of those areas, while the price of oil is what it is at a barrel level right now. So that's one that's very cyclical and probably runs in like 10-year cycles to look at that as these companies have to kind of manage through to the next cycle.
You mentioned Latin America, and I think we've got a few viewers from Latin America. Guys, what are you seeing in your countries around Latin America? What are you seeing? How digital transformation is being taken by the government and the private sector? And what are the challenges? Coming to the challenges, Jeff, what challenges do you see with these organizations? And I mentioned one of those being a mindset change, where they need to change through the mindset to say, we need to embrace digital transformation. But what are the challenges that you see, and are they different across countries? Are they different across regions? Is it that countries like India, China have a different mindset to Latin America, to North America, to Europe, and Australia? So how do you see that?
I think country by country, I haven't seen as much of a difference in a secret sauce or a differentiating point of view at a country level. I think it again comes back to the company and the industry they're in, and ultimately the culture of that company, right? Because even if you're in an industry that you're doing great, right? You're printing money, you're growing market share, but it's not something that you can sustain forever, maybe on the infrastructure you're on. So somebody's got a forward-looking vision and knows that here's what I want to do next, and I want to grow into adjacent markets. I want to industry lines are blurring. We used to be like consumer products and retail and wholesale distribution were three different industries. Well, they're kind of now one and the same, because we've got consumer products companies that are actually even also high-tech companies. Look at Under Armour, right? They make a shoe, and many other products, but that shoe is really high-tech. There's RFID technology in that shoe that will tell you how to run better. It'll tell you your gait is too long or too short for the pace at which you want to run at, which is really interesting, but really interesting coaching, right? You've got a coach built into the shoe, which blew me away when I'm on the app and it's telling me what I should do different to run better. Now, they're also a wholesaler because they actually sell to the retail outlets that carry their products, but they're also a retailer. So they're in all factors of that. And so it makes managing their business that much more complex and sophisticated. And it requires that vision and that leadership to really be on the edge and be pushing it. So I think a lot of it comes down to culture, comes down to leadership. And that's one of the things I've seen in all of the best run projects as well. It's not necessarily the software, it's the team, it's the people, it's the culture of that organization, it's the change management of how they embrace this opportunity to get better and get stronger and be more fit coming out of that program.
And you mentioned the culture. That brings to a question which I'll answer first. And that is, any funny incident that you've seen or you've experienced, you want to share with the audience. And I'll tell you, though this is funny, it is sad as well. Long time ago, I was working with this organization, and there was a lady who came to me, and she was a pretty senior lady in the organization. She came to me and she said, "Shelly, we have been doing that for 50 years, and we've never failed." So I said to her, if you keep on doing what you're doing, you'll keep on getting what you're getting. But that was the end of story. The reality was that in less than 2 years, the stock price plummeted because they didn't change themselves. And that was the company which said, we don't need digital platform. We don't need a website, even that extent. So any such incident that you've seen in the market, you've experienced, you met someone and you want to call it, you don't call the name?
A lot of them are like old implementation stories where why do we need to do it this way? Because we've always done it that way. And there was one case when I was at Anderson early on, and we were working on this project, and we had to produce this report. This report was in another language for a particular reason, but this was a US company. I said, why? I finally traced it back, and I said, why do we need to print this report it happened to be in German. It wasn't at SAP or SAP product, but the person that was reading that report was German, and he wanted it in local dialect. But he didn't work in that role anymore, not even at the company anymore. But we must have this report, and it must be in German. And I'm sure there's many other cases like that to say, okay, we can scratch that off the requirements list now because no one here is reading it that way. And we don't need that report anymore because now we can look at it all online. But, there's so many of those that are just change management exercises at the end of the day.
No. I'll also mention one more. We created a form for our business managers to fill in. And they said, oh, that's not my job. You can hire an analyst to fill the form, where they were defining the business requirement for that particular, for every particular campaign. And they weren't even interested in filling up the form. Imagine that kind of rigidness and inflexibility when you see at a very senior level, where are you heading towards? But anyways, those were some of the funny ones for me. The future, where do you see it all going? Now, I think in my perspective or my view, what it was that we started slowly getting towards digital transformation. People were changing. And then came COVID and everyone was running. So everything is now digital. Me talking digital, last year I had I did around about 60 60 physical shows.
Yeah.
This year, 5 months gone, and I've done 60 live shows. So everything is now getting digital, and so Zoom calls have become the talking point. And you see on social media a lot of people sharing those Zoom experiences and stuff. Where do you see it all going? Is it going? Is it rocketed towards? Is it heading towards a photo finish, running very quickly at 100-meter dash? What's happening?
I think it's still I like to look at this always as it's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Okay.
There's work to be done to get done, and it's also a journey, not a destination, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, okay, we're done with that, and now we can just go back to what we were doing. There's always an opportunity to get better, and the technology is changing so quickly that it enables us to actually help our customers every day in a different way. It's unbelievable. So I actually see it accelerating. We see it accelerating every day, and we don't see customers actually pulling back really either. I think most of them right now, if they can afford to do it and they're in a good position from a business, their product, their portfolio, their brand, right? They can stay the course and they can fight through this because they've got the staying power. Those companies, they're investing into this curve because they know that coming out of it, it's going to be like a slingshot, right? And they've got time right now where people are not traveling. And so even though we've got some big customers that are doing some deployments, that even though they've gone virtual, those deployments are carrying on full speed. In fact, we want to go faster because right now we've got people with more time. They're not on planes and they don't need to actually get this work done virtually. It's not an issue. So we see it accelerating, and we see the technology also accelerating the business outcomes that we're able to deliver for customers. We had a great story recently, the canton of Zurich, which is kind of like the district of Zurich in Switzerland. Just probably 3 weeks ago, we engaged with them. I think it actually started on April 5th. We engaged with them in a conversation that they needed help processing unemployment claims.
Yep.
I mean, you can look it up. They've already been featured in Computer World with the success story. But normally on a given month, the unemployment claims 10 per month, right? Life's pretty good. The employment level's high and the unemployment claims are low. So they can get through that no problem with their normal old manual process. Well, with COVID, it spiked to 30,000 claims per month.
Yep.
There's no way their team could manage the volume. They actually scaled up from their team of 10. They were doing that and other work to 75 people. They could not keep pace with it. So they called us and said, we need help, right? We need help on how do we automate this? How do we do it intelligently? How do we upgrade this old manual process? Long story short, we actually leveraged our intelligent robotic process automation capabilities to layer SAP and non-SAP landscape, including some old AS400 and mainframe systems. We got them live inside of a period of 14 days. We took that 25-minute, 30-minute process per claim to 20 seconds per claim. That does the full check, the processing, and gets the check cut and out to the employee moving. And their payback is less than 1 month, right? These are new technologies with robotic process automation, machine learning, conversational AI that many people may not even think of as before. Amazing technology in these areas. It's not just old school ERP, right? And those are some third-party products that we bought that were standalone solutions, standalone offerings, best of breed. And now we are not only leveraging those standalone, but we're building them into the core so that we make every part of the core ERP and line of business solutions like SuccessFactors, Ariba, Concur, Fieldglass, et cetera, better, smarter, faster as a result of these leveraging these intelligent technologies that are part of our Leonardo portfolio.
And I think that particular project was finished in end-to-end in 15 days.
It was 14 days from start to finish. We actually talked to them on Friday. We had a pilot environment set up on Saturday. We had the first pieces ready to run and loaded on Sunday. By the following Wednesday, we had the POC completed. So it was really quick, and that's 14 calendar days from start to finish. And in COVID times right now, there's no weekend, right? We need this live yesterday. We got claims we need to process. So that was a challenge for our team in Switzerland, and they rallied and they rose to the occasion and did an awesome job.
Perfect. Thank you for that one. Guys, people who are watching, I think if you've
I see some questions in there.
No, we'll come to the questions in a minute.
Okay.
That's a separate section. We'll just finish with my questions
Good.
first. So guys, if you've got any such, if you've seen any such stories, any success story that you've seen in your region, please mention that in the comment section and I will talk about that as well. Having said that, this is your opportunity to ask questions to Jeff. He's awake, midnight his time. So let's better use his time judiciously and ask him as many questions as we can. Okay, Jeff, my question to you is around any other funny story or any use case. So let's talk about the use case first. Any use case that comes to your mind where an organization completely transformed itself and digitally, and the benefits or the value that it created for the organization. I'm happy if you had 2 or 3 of those, as many as you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one I love, and this is recent as well, and it's actually relevant to your region because their supply chain starts, in this case, in off an island fishing village in Indonesia, outside of Jakarta, where I was at last year a couple of times actually. And this is Bumblebee Seafoods, and Bumblebee has always been prided themselves on really trust and transparency in their supply chain, and they wanted to take that to the next level and leverage blockchain technology and some other capabilities to provide even more transparency to their customers as well as their supply chain partners, so that they could trace the product from end to end by scanning a QR code and know at every point of the process where that fish was caught, that it was sustainably and ethically processed, where it moved through its journey and life cycle ultimately to the retail shelf. Or if you're sitting in a restaurant and you see that, hey, we've got on the menu tonight ahi grade tuna, and if there's a QR code right there, I could scan that even on the menu or in your local grocer and know, hey, this is Bumblebee product. I trust that brand. I've had it before. I love it. And ask for it by name. Right. And so they did some great work. We did a great project with them in the course of about 3 months, leveraging our Leonardo portfolio with SAP Cloud Platform, Leonardo and the blockchain services, as well as SAP Analytics Cloud to deliver this solution, which is also out on YouTube. You can find a video on this, which is a great story layered on top of their ECC landscape. So they're not even on they're not on S4 yet, but that's part of their journey. But it's ECC plus Cloud Platform plus blockchain and SAC to render all the analytics. And again, live in 90 days and really from start to finish with their first pilot line. And it's amazing what that's doing for them now, because they didn't do it to have a blockchain project, right? It was really about how do we make our supply chain even that much more trusted and safe, secure and transparent to end. If I'm the fisherman, I can see where the product went. Or if I'm the retail consumer, I can see all the way back to where was it sourced. And I build even an identity with that fisher person. But it wasn't about, oh, I'm doing a blockchain project. Those were just the enabling technologies. And what they're seeing now, I talked to their CIO recently, is their product's been flying off the shelf because of COVID, especially the canned product. So yes, fresh and frozen ahi is also moving, and tuna steaks are moving, but the can, especially because it's so the shelf life's longer, right? And it's safe and secure, and it doesn't need to be refrigerated. So that's actually helped them with the project they put in place to actually better manage their demand and supply, to know what they need to make and where they need to make it and where they need to get it to. Because you see a run on other products day to day, like toilet paper, paper towels, right? And you can't respond fast enough. You walk into grocery stores or aisles like, wow, it's still empty, this aisle. It's just crazy. People are hoarding, and companies are not able to keep pace with supply. So I love that Bumblebee story. I love it about speed. I love it about innovation, but I also love mostly what they're doing to better serve their customer and differentiate themselves in the market. It's helped them grow the top line, the bottom line, and grow market share all in one.
Yeah, and that's the COVID times when everyone is saying that it's all going downhill. So that's a very, very interesting and a successful story. So it's a combination and a culmination of blockchain, IoT, machine learning, And what else is it?
It sits on cloud platform, and it's
Yep.
using the blockchain, specifically multi-chain services in the Leonardo portfolio, plus SAP Analytics Cloud to render all of the analytics and to manage that. It's not using as much IoT right now, not needed in that use case. And more machine learning to come as they get more data and they start to analyze that and use that to retrain some of the algorithms.
Okay.
Great quick success story.
Any other success story that comes to mind?
There's a bunch going even way back. Like, some things never change, right? One of my first projects I did, which was fun back at Anderson in the day, was at a company. It was the Willy Wonka division of a candy company. That's a mainline candy company, and you can look up the Willy Wonka products and who owns them now. It wasn't an SAP project at the time, but it was a fun project working on implementing a system to make everlasting gobstoppers and Laffy Taffy, if you remember some of those products from the Willy Wonka movie. But that was a fun project that, it's things like that we get to work in environments with customers that are, products you eat, you taste, you buy, you use on a daily basis, that it's neat to kind of see how they're made and how do we improve that process. So that was a fun one.
One question: how is it like working at SAP? And SAP across the world, I've seen many countries where they're marked as the best company to work for. What do you think is the best thing about working at SAP?
I'd say two things. One, the people, and these are not necessarily in order, but the people, and you've probably experienced that coming in here. We've had some amazing people at this company. We're over 100,000 people, employees now. We have some amazing, talented people that they all share one thing at the end of the day, which is focus on customer success. And that piece is the culture, right? So it's those two things that go together, that we're a people business. I mean, we don't have factories really. We've got offices and infrastructure and laptops, and we're intellectual property and people at the end of the day. And it's culture that makes it different and makes it special. And so I enjoy working with the people I know. I'm in my 19th year here and have worked in both regional and global roles. And it's been a pleasure and a privilege to be here. And I love, like we started the call, what makes it different, what makes you excited every day to get up, or keeps you on the phone at midnight, helping customers and reaching our colleagues and partners and our ecosystem and customers around the globe, and just seeing what we can do to help them, right? We've done a bunch of things with the COVID initiative too, with free software, where we said, hey, let's integrated business planning. It's free for 90 days in the cloud, and we'll line up a partner that knows your industry and knows the solution to help you implement it, right? So you don't have to spend time learning the product. They just need data, and they can set up IBP for you, so you can do some real-time sales and operations planning, and you can respond to the dynamics that your world is throwing at you right now. If you don't have a system in place, use this one, right? It's free and available. The sooner we all get through this, the sooner everybody is back to a better environment for their home, their family, their kids, everything. So we're trying to do that as well, and trying to help where we can.
Perfect. Before we get to the question and answers from the audience, I just want to say there are a few beginners who are also watching this. So guys, what I'll do is I'll also put some resources in the description section so that you guys can learn from and take it forward. There are lots of things that SAP is doing, which they're providing free at the moment. You can utilize and you can learn. And there are other resources as well, which I'll share in the comment section. Now, I'm going to get into the question and answers. If you've got a question, this is your time to ask Jeff. So let's start, Jeff. Let's go. I will start one by one. Okay. I will take all the questions. Good or bad, I don't know, but I'll take all of them. So the first question is from Ravi Ranjan on Facebook. And he says, first of all, hi Ravi, how are you? He says, what is the best module of SAP for job? It's a very open-ended question, and a lot of people want to know, which means, I'll rephrase it. What is a good module for SAP, for us, for people to learn, so that they have with the future in mind?
Yeah. So in terms of job opportunities, I would say it's not necessarily the module, it is cloud,
Yep.
right? All of our customers and the market is moving to the cloud. So learn the cloud solutions and find one that you have either a personal affinity for, right? It's fun working with things you're passionate about. I'm a supply chain guy, right? I
Mhm.
started in supply chain, in manufacturing facilities, in automotive, in the candy environment I mentioned at Willy Wonka. So anything supply chain, it just makes me tick, right? So if it were me, I'd go there. But if it's something for you around procurement you're passionate about, or people in HR, or expense management, like with Concur, contingent labor with Field Glass, any of those, pick an area that you're passionate about, because then it's not work, right? It's fun and you're learning and you're enjoying it. But in terms of category, it's cloud software, which is in a lot of demand. And lastly, I would say an industry, right? For us, industry matters. So it's the intersection of industry and solution that really is the sweet spot, because customers, if I go even and implement finance, let's say in a bank, or HR is pretty consistent across, but there are business processes, and finance in a bank is different than finance in a manufacturing facility. In a bank, the general ledger is everything to a bank. It's where they manage the capital assets. It's where they manage currency and currency trade and hedging and everything else on a daily basis, so they can settle transactions and positions in minutes, right? But for a manufacturing company, the ledger is just kind of debits and credits and where accounts are settled. It's not a strategic asset like it is for a bank. So those are the key things. I'd say cloud first in terms of solution area, industry and LOB, something that you're passionate about and you've got an affinity for or background, because that's just going to make it easier for you.
Perfect. Next, Anil Kumar, Agriculture. Hi, Anil. How are you? He's just said hi to both of us. Um, Next, Alu Parthasarthi. Hi, Alu. How are you? How Fury will help digital transformation, like mobile usage for customization apps.
Yeah, Fiori and the whole Fiori user experience is just all about making it easier, right? So that we can actually have a consistent user experience rendered across multiple devices, whether it's the desktop, an iPad, an iPhone, and that it's simple and easy for companies, customers to interact with. So that will certainly be a key factor, and it's a consistent part of our user experience strategy overall.
And you know what, Jeff, what I like about SAP the most is that whatever we are selling to our customers, we actually use it ourselves.
Yes.
So Fury, I think everything on our iPads and mobile phones is Fury now, and we connect through Fury to anything and everything. So
That's right.
what we preach is what we use. It's not just that we sell it to our customers, and so that's amazing. In our country, they say that the guy who makes the sweet doesn't eat his own sweets. That's what he said. It's a common saying in India. But I think in this case, SAP is eating its own sweets before it is selling it to its customers.
Yes, we are absolutely drinking our own champagne,
Yeah,
right? We use
yeah,
it every day, and I think that's the best way for us to test it.
yeah.
We're running on one system, one instance for finance, for CRM, for customer data, for procurement. So that's the best way for us to learn as well and get that done.
Perfect. Next question is from Alu again, and Alu says, "What is the impact of COVID-19 on SAP business? What are expected changes in manufacturing and service sectors?"
Yeah, the impact is, as we've talked about a little bit already, just the change in companies and their deployment schedules and demands. But that's it's not been a factor other than they've gone virtual. They've accelerated through this. They haven't paused it because, like we talked about earlier, the world is so connected and technology is so relevant and it's so critical that it's not the CIO's job anymore, just the CIO's job. It's the CEO's job. And Wall Street's going to ask them. Like, if you turn on the financial markets or any channel, any morning, any day, that's what they're talking about. And even the sectors that are rallying, it's the tech sector. I heard people talking about that today because it's such a critical enabler to everything. Look at the medical science, life sciences that are, trying to find a cure for a drug. We can't wait 2 years to run a clinical trial anymore.
Yep.
Forget, even regardless of COVID, it's just too long, right? We have to find a way to do that faster. And the companies that do are going to be the major winners because they'll have even longer to sell under a patent. Now it's 10 years normally on a patent on a drug, but you're going to use up a lot of that time just finding it, or your company's getting to it. But this is for manufacturing and service sectors. What do we expect the changes? I think, again, companies are investing and they're continuing to, and they're accelerating into this. They're certainly managing things. And I think more than anything, the business case is the driver, right? Like, what is the ROI? And I'm going to sequence that deployment to drive the benefit, because normally when we build a business case for a customer, we can show them where the value streams are, and we can also show them what the prerequisites are. And we might be able to re-sequence that project to drive the most value, which may have not been where they were thinking they would start, right? It's not always like, okay, we'll start with finance. Well, you don't have to do that. You could start with an LOB solution like maybe Ariba, which is going to drive a huge sourcing value. And if you can take cost of goods sold down, it drives margin through better sourcing, which creates a self-funding model for your project, right? So it's not just manufacturing and service, but it's looking at the business case and the value and what are we trying to do to actually help that company to get after it as quick as possible.
And you mentioned healthcare. I remember when I was a kid, we were told you become a doctor or an engineer. I think this is a time where that's all converging together. And, and it's funny, COVID-19, where people are trying to find out solution to COVID-19 through AI, through machine learning techniques to actually figure out how we can very quickly find a cure to COVID-19. I think that's amazing. It's a mind shift that has happened, and digital transformation plays a key role in the whole conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think we're seeing more and more of that.
Yep. Next question from Rahul Tripathi. Hi, Rahul. How are you? Is SAP concentrating on industry-based digital platform transformation? My question is, SAP invested in small-scale industry solutions for localization.
We are invested in small-scale industry solutions for localization, as well as large. And localization is critical for us with the number of countries that we support around the globe. So localization has always been a part of our strategy, so that we deliver out of Germany, for example, or the core system and core engineering teams, a core platform that oftentimes even the local SAP office and or local business partners have other localization and extensions to put on top to support unique requirements. And some of those get built into the core, others get managed locally depending upon the environment and dynamic, how applicable it is. Brazil, for example, has a lot of very specific taxation rules and regulations that customers there have to adhere to. It doesn't matter to the rest of the world, but for them it does. And so we build those things in locally, and that's the same across the board at an industry level and a country and market level.
Okay. I'll take there's a string of questions from Abhinav Kumar. Hi Abhinav, how are you? And he's saying, future of EPPM and what about analytics? Ignore that no SAP jobs. I don't know what that meant. CA no SAP jobs didn't mean anything to me. But future of EPPM, what about analytics? And I think analytics will play a major role in the coming years. But what's your point of view on that?
Yeah, analytics is huge for us and for any company really right now, because and I see your book right behind you, making money out of data. If data is the new gold or the new oil or whatever, the new monetary element of whatever, however you want to call it, if you can't process that data, then it's just noise. And so analytics is the key to being able to process that data and be able to draw conclusions from it and make decisions in real time with better odds of getting the decision right. And for us, that's a product that we call SAP Analytics Cloud that was built from the ground up organically, and it combines analytics. It also combines predictive capabilities and planning in one solution. So that is the future of analytics at SAP that we are embedding into every part of our portfolio. So it'll be in S4, it'll be in Ariba, it'll be in Concur, it'll be in SuccessFactors, right? So it's a common user experience, kind of like the Fiori reference earlier, so that you're serving up that analytic to help the end user make a better decision. And in many times recommending that decision so that the user doesn't have to spend time doing it, because the machine can actually process it faster And it's amazing what that product can do. And that's, again, another one that can be used completely standalone. It's not dependent on any other prerequisite SAP technology other than SAP Cloud Platforms. It runs on SAP Cloud Platform, but it can be consumed in any hyperscaler or standalone and work with any third-party technology.
And I think I can add two things. One is that it connects to any database. It's not dependent on SAP data sources. And secondly, that it tells you what chart to use, which is phenomenal, because most of the time people don't even know which chart to pull up. And is it a line chart or a bar graph or a pie chart? What I need to put in. But the machine inside, the thinking behind the thinking machine actually advises you which chart actually is going to make more sense. I used to say with statistics, and that actually makes a huge difference with SAC. And I haven't seen any solution like that which can actually do something like that.
And not planning, predictive, and analytics all in one solution. And it's using state-of-the-art machine learning in that predictive capability. So we bring in Google's TensorFlow into that. We bring in NVIDIA's deep learning into that. So it's not just SAP technology, but we're bringing best-of-breed technologies from our ecosystem and partners, so the customers don't have to reinvent it and they don't have to reconstruct it. Rather, they can focus on the business problem, and we're going to deliver an off-the-shelf solution that is, fit for purpose and hopefully 80-90% out of the box, ready to run. And then you let it ingest the data, and the more data you give it, the better. You've seen those results, right? And it builds your story, and it's unbelievable. And it knows which graph to use because of the data set it has. And this should be in a scatter diagram. This should be in a bar. This should be in a line. You don't need an analytics person or a data science degree to use that solution. In fact, we kind of went away from the data science. Our moniker, our focus was really, we wanted to go after the citizen data scientist so that everybody can be a data scientist. We just need to give them the right tools. And SAC, we believe, is that right tool set and solution.
Okay. Abhinav has mentioned one more statement, and I think I should take that because he said, can't do without digital core. And I think we owe some description or explanation around digital core here. So can you just talk a bit about digital core?
Yeah, what does he say? Can't do without digital core, which is that's I'll say that's probably the ECC digital core or the S4 digital core that he's referring to. Certainly that's a key part of SAP's footprint, and our strategy is that's the digital core for most of our customers. That is, everything else is connected to. All of our cloud solutions, though, can run independent of that. So you could put them on top of somebody else's digital ERP at the core if you wanted to. For us, though, customers that do have it, they're able to connect more easily to our other cloud solutions as well. So we're building out all the integration points so that S4 can talk to SuccessFactors, Ariba, Concur, Fieldglass, et cetera, and integrated business planning and do all of that, in real time.
Okay. Next question is from Surendra Bisht. Hi, Surendra, how are you? He says, can you tell us about an SAP application which will help us tracking work from home? Currently, we try to do it through Google Sheet collaboration, but yes, it has its limitations.
Helping track work from home, like in terms of, I wonder, people's time, or what are we tracking here?
Okay. So let's leave that question. Surendra, can you please, if you're watching, can you please explain it further? What do you mean by tracking work from home? If you can put that, and if you get that question answered, then we will take that before we finish the call. Okay. Santosh Gawali. Hi, Santosh. How are you? How GST-related activities will be simplified in SAP? And I think there is a lot to be talked about here. And I think he's typically talking about India GST.
I'm not, and that's taxation.
Yep.
Right, GST. I'm not an expert in this area, so I'd probably want to engage somebody from a finance perspective.
No, I can tell you something here, Jeff, I can add. So the entire GST platform in India is built on SAP. And so the time taken to deliver an SAP, to deliver or apply or submit your GST as a small business has been reduced significantly by using SAP. So it is built on SAP platform. If you need more details, I can get you more details on that, but it is all run on SAP. And I think that was what he was referring to. More details, Santosh, you can reach out to me. Okay, Ramana KV. Hi, this is Ramana. Hi, Ramana, how are you? SAP MM and SD are the same in S4 and ECC. Any difference? Please tell. You have any idea?
I don't know if what specifics you're looking for in MM with materials management or sales and distribution with SD. Certainly those will evolve going from ECC to S4, but many of the core capabilities that are there, customers are running them, right? But we're going to re-architect those as well when you go to S4, because it's all you've got the Fiori look and feel that's layered on top of it, first off from a simplification standpoint, but a lot of the key features, functions, capabilities, we're not looking to take things, and customers don't want us to take things away, right? It's just a matter of helping them get to the next iteration. And in many cases, S4 also is the inclusion and the incorporation of those intelligent technologies that we talked about earlier. So layering in RPA and conversational tools and being able to interact using natural language processing with the system rather than your keyboard. So some of those capabilities in MM and SD and even other parts of the solution in finance, so you can do cash application, right, using RPA and using a bot to do that. It's much faster and it's much more consistent. And it's just, it's something like a job that somebody not necessarily is their favorite job to do anyway. You think about balancing your checkbook, right? It's probably not the thing you say, I want to do that today on Saturday morning, right? You can do it and balance the checkbook within seconds and, tell you where the exception was. It makes the process that much better.
I've got the answer from Surendra, who was talking about the Google Sheets and working from home. And he says time and output. So basically managing time.
So yeah, measuring time. I mean, it'd be part of our success factor solution with timesheets and people measuring time and output, depending on what they're working on. There's a lot of different things that you could use there, depending upon how big or small the operation is, and whether you could probably find some of our partners for time management as well. We've got a number of partners in partner extension. It's like, in a factory, they're punching a time clock, right? And that's a solution. There's several different solutions there that we then take that time clock, we load that into the system to look at that plus throughput of output, as you mentioned there, Surendra, that ultimately translates into somebody's compensation and their pay. But that's something we could maybe look at further, depending upon your business scenario and what we're looking for, and give you some directions on or guidance on maybe what might be the best fit.
Okay, I'm also conscious about time. There are lots more questions, and I still have to cover LinkedIn. Very quickly, last comment last question, Krishna MPR. Hi, Krishna, how are you? He's saying SAP is awesome. It gave us what we wanted. How about Ariba Learning, and how is the market now? Thank you. First of all, thank you, Krishna, for calling it out. Yes, SAP is awesome. And a happy customer is always happy to have on the show. How about Ariba Learning, and how is the market now? Thank you. It calls me to get an Ariba person to be on the show, but Jeff, if you want to answer that or want to skip, it's up to you.
Yeah, I don't know if what he means in how about Ariba Learning and how is the market now. I don't know if what specific his question is there, but Ariba's been doing great, and it's such a huge value driver for customers to be able to automate sourcing and strategic sourcing and the whole process with your customers. It also has been a huge value driver. That's another one that we've actually got a free offer out on if you haven't used it yet, but the Ariba Discovery platform, where you can actually go out if you're looking for a product or you've got a problem with a component you can't find because some source of supply is dried up, factory's closed, whatever it might be. You can go into the Ariba Discovery tool and register quickly and search to find product. we actually in COVID case in the U.S. here, one of my colleagues here in Atlanta got a call from a customer, and they were looking and said, "Hey, I need to find 500 hospital beds. Can you help me find 500 hospital beds? I need them ASAP." And he thought, I mean, seriously, how am I going to do that? How am I going to find that? And the reason they need them is they're building a hospital in New York, one of these pop-up hospitals for COVID. And so he said, well, let me check Ariba Discovery. So he went on to Discovery. He found the beds in Discovery. He then reached the supplier of the beds, which is also an SAP customer, and said, do you have these beds? I'm seeing them online. I've got another customer that needs them immediately. He said, yeah, I have them. I can get them to them, have them call me. He put them in contact, and inside of 30 minutes, that customer that called out of the blue had beds ordered, confirmed, and getting ready to be shipped out, and it just blew their mind, right? And this goes back to where we started talking about digital platform. You can't do that on a spreadsheet, right? You can't do that on a phone call or a Rolodex. You need a system and a platform, and Ariba and the Ariba Marketplace does more volume on a daily, annual basis than eBay, Amazon, and Alibaba combined, right? So there are companies trading and transacting there every day, whether it be for product or services or financial factoring, financial support and loans, payments, all kinds of things. And it's just unbelievable to see that happening and just see the impact that has on people's lives at the end of the day, like that COVID hospital bed story. Blew my mind.
Okay. One last question on Facebook before I get onto LinkedIn. And I know I'm taking a lot of time of yours, Jeff, but this is very interacting, and there are lots of questions that we need to address before we go. Okay. Last question from Surendra Bisht again. And this was interesting. He said, amid the COVID threat and uncertainty about its prevention or treatment, how SAP is going to help customers to eliminate paperwork, forms printing, bills, invoices, etc., by promoting B2B integrations for information exchange, POs, invoices, SOs, etc.
Yeah, and this has always been something we spent a lot of time on back in the EDI days, right? Yep. Where there were standard transactions that you would just get out of the paper business and faxes and everything else. And as the technology allows, you'll see more and more of this, so that there's direct point-to-point integration. The blockchain scenario as well, I mentioned earlier with Bumblebee, allows that to happen as well, so that there's security and permissions involved, so that you only see the data you're entitled to and that you've authorized to share, so that actually opens up that stream as well. But this is an important point, and I think as you see more and more digital transformation, there's less and less paper, and it just takes latency out and enables speed, and it removes friction.
And I think as we're incorporating machine learning in almost every process we've got, I think it is going to eliminate a lot of paperwork anyways. For example, that we do in our travel expenses as well. Earlier we needed a paper receipt to be sent to someone to actually review. Now we are picking it up and converting into a digital using our phone to copy that receipt, convert it into digital, and send it across, which at the back end is actually extracting the data out of that paper, so that it's absolutely clear, unless there is some issue where a human intervention is required. But otherwise, it is we are doing that with ourselves as well.
That's a great example with Concur, because it's for expense management. You take a picture, and I remember the first time I saw somebody using it, and we were sitting there, they just finished dinner, signed the check, took a picture, posted, threw away the receipt. I said, don't you need the receipt as a backup, just in case? No, it's in there. I took a picture, done, right? And from there, it's all automated, and I can download my Amex bill, and it's like expenses are, fun now. It's not the old process of copy, photocopy, send them in. It just was burdensome.
So Surendra, that's how we are eliminating a lot of paperwork out there. And I tell you, when I was at Accenture, and this is a long time ago, I actually had to take a picture, take a paper, stick all the receipts on it, then send those receipts to Dalian, and at times, well, not always, but once in a while, you will lose that envelope, and then you're struggling that you haven't taken a photocopy of that, means more paper. And I want you to avoid that paper. But anyways, all of this is happening and it's all digitizing as we go. Okay, let's very quickly get on to LinkedIn, and these are questions I'll have to ask you, Jeff. We've still not integrated LinkedIn to the environment, so let's go. The first question is from Lucida S. Arroyo, and I think she's from Brazil, and she's saying, is it time to the companies start to think and add analytics on your analysis? I think definitely yes, and we are doing that. What do you think, Jeff?
Can you show that? Can I see that question or no?
Oh,
I only see the Facebook question.
It's still on my. It's not integrated
Okay.
yet.
What's her question again?
Is it time to the companies start thinking about analytics and add analytics to their analysis?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely time for companies to add analytics. If they haven't, they're missing a big opportunity, because again, if data is the new gold, you got to be able to mine that gold, and you can't just do it on a spreadsheet. There's no possible way. And SAC in our case is the more data you give it, the better. Like we're talking billions of rows of records and columns. The more data you give it, the better insights it gives you, because it can see patterns and it can see them in seconds, and it can find patterns and predict outcomes that you would never find. It's a needle in a haystack. You'd never find it by yourself. If you did, it's probably because you got lucky and stumbled on it, but it would take you hours to do what it's doing in seconds. And the more it processes, the smarter it gets. It's amazing.
And Lucinda is from Delaware in Brazil, and she looks after SAP. So I think that's what she's coming from. Lucinda, hopefully you've got the answer to that question. The next comment she's made is, I see companies starts to run to be more, be part of digital transformation. That is true.
Yeah, okay. No doubt.
Okay. The next question is from Angelo Koulos. He's a good mate of mine here in Sydney, and he's asked, and he used to be the CFO of one of the largest banks here. So a bit of background. In the post-COVID world of digital transformation, what technology, Lego blocks, is SAP promoting to meet the needs of its clients? What's different?
In the post-COVID era, what technologies are we promoting to meet the needs of the clients? What's different?
Yep.
We've done a bunch of things that we talked about a little bit here. Just some of the packaging that we put together for COVID to actually help customers address these problems quickly. Because obviously, if it's a project that takes you months to implement, it's too long. Just like we talked earlier, even on finding a vaccine, we got to help move faster. So one of the things we've done is spend a lot of time thinking about how do we put a packaged solution and a bundle together for customers, inclusive of software, services, and infrastructure, so that it's turnkey, and it's not something that you have to go out and reinvent the wheel every time, or we don't have to either, so we can help customers faster. That's a big factor, and also focusing on business outcomes. What are we trying to solve? What's the problem we're trying to solve for customers, that we can help them with a guided outcome, as opposed to it's just a technology project, right? No one has time for a technology project right now. If there's a specific outcome, we can realize, hey, let's talk about it, and how quickly can we get after that if it's compelling? So a heavy focus on that.
And he asked about building blocks, the Lego blocks, and the building blocks, Angelo, are blockchain, IoT, analytics, machine learning, data intelligence. I think we've got 6 or 7 of those that we're focusing to actually drive those outcomes, which are digital focused.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, hopefully you've got your answer, Angelo. The next question is from Arvinda Nori, and she's an agile practitioner and a digital transformation expert, Scrum Master. She says, do you think COVID situation would act like a catalyst for organizations to start their digital transformation journey, looking at market needs and change scenarios?
I just got a text from somebody, one of my colleagues. I think he's online at 1:09 a.m. Yeah. Say that again, Charlie.
He says, there is a message from Arvinda Nori. She's a Scrum Master, and she says, do you think COVID situation would act like a catalyst for organizations to start their digital transformation journey, looking at market needs and change scenarios?
Yes, I really do. I think this is going to be if companies haven't yet pulled the trigger, they're going to be looking at this as the catalyst, because they've just been managing through this and it's been painful, and they can't do it. Even the question earlier from Surendra about, hey, we're doing it on Google Sheets, it's a spreadsheet. It's not sustainable, right? Where's the data go? How do you mine it? How do you know that the data, how do you check integrity? How do you make sure there's no fraud? How do you capture those issues and exceptions? So I think this absolutely will be a catalyst for companies coming out of this that make it and survive, because they got through it with brute force, but now they're going to want to then apply intelligence and sustainability on top of it so that they can scale.
There's a comment from Lucinda from Brazil again, and she says, I think now is the time to start bringing more analytics to your company and be part of digital transformation. I think we all do that.
No doubt.
One of your colleagues, Mark Marcus, says, Jeff Harvey is the man.
That's who texted me here, Mark Marcus. Yeah. Hey, Mark, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully you're enjoying the show. Sandeep Jha. Hi, Sandeep. How are you? And he says, thanks a lot. Great show and insightful talk. Thanks to you, Jeff. Arvinda Nori, again. Hi, Arvinda again. She says, delight to hear from you, Jeff. You great, very clear and touched both technical and business aspects of it. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Appreciate that.
And Angelo Kulos, my friend, has come back and said, trials and packaging to move faster. Great. Thanks, Shelley. So we're at the end of the show, and we've spent 1 hour and 12 minutes, Jeff, at this hour. Thank you very much for your time. And I know it's middle of the night. It's past midnight now, 1:20, possibly at your place. But thank you for taking time out for the audience and answering those questions. It was great to have you here.
Well, I really appreciate it. One other thing that maybe this audience doesn't know about me either is my side job is I also serve as the L's for Autism chair at SAP. So that's one of my side pieces of work. And autism is a condition that affects a lot of people. 1 in 52 boys now, and even growing in young ladies as well. And it's a global condition of its own. So as you probably know from if you watch golf, Ernie Els is one of our ambassadors, and we sponsored him for a number of years. His son Ben is autistic, and he started a movement about 10 years ago. And Mark Marcus has been involved in that as well, supporting us at SAP. But it's a passion of mine as well, and trying to give back. And I think this is just one more thing that SAP has been really, really committed to. And it speaks to the culture of the company as well. So I just want to say thanks. This is reminding me as well. I got a L's for Autism Center of Excellence here, pen in my hand, that I just want to share as we're closing out, because I don't think I gave you much around what I like to do aside from SAP and my side job. But that's something also I love seeing that and helping others that are dealing with that. So hopefully one day we'll find a cure to that as well, which would be amazing.
So is there a charity that you support? And if you do, then can you please mention the link to the in the comment section, and I will also put that in the description so that people can support it if they want to.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Else for Autism is actually they've got a facility that they've built that in Jupiter, Florida, where it's a education facility that's up and operational today, kindergarten through high school. And it's also a global platform that they're having other schools from around the world beam in digitally to see what they're doing and how they're training, how they're teaching, what they're doing. And you can find all the information at lsforautism.com, but I can put it in the chat as well. And would welcome any support or even emotional, if not financial support there. And it's something that affects a lot of people. I'm sure some people on this call today are no people or no family members that are affected. So great stuff.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you for your time, and I really appreciate the fact that you were doing that at this hour. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you very soon. And thank you.
Thank you, Shiley. I look forward to it. Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for joining us today as well.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day.
Bye now. So wrong button. So guys, that was Jeff. Jeff Harvey, the Chief Customer Officer at SAP. It was pleasure having him here. Some great insights that he provided, and so I hope you enjoyed the show and you learned one thing or the other about him and SAP and the emerging technologies that we are focusing on. If you want to hear from someone that you think will be valuable to you to learn from, then please mention their name in the comment box, and I will try and reach out to them and get them on the show. Finally, please follow me on LinkedIn so that you can be alerted, on Twitter so that you get the pop-up when I'm online with a new person on the show. And please like this particular episode, subscribe it on YouTube, and smash the bell icon. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. We'll speak to you, I think, on Thursday at 3 p.m. when I bring in the Women in Data Science back. So thank you very much. Bye now.